Hey, it's AShadowLink from Source Gaming. I'm here to give you my first impressions and a quick review of the Nintendo Switch Online N64 controller. I was very excited for this controller as most first-party N64 controllers are quite worn and torn these days, and it can be very hard to determine their authenticity if not. I am pleased to say that this controller serves the purpose of being an N64 controller very well, and looks pretty accurate to an original model. When using the N64 controller, the NSO app will be outfitted with a unique skin. It's gray, and all the noises are replaced with Super Mario 64 sounds. In particular, I like the noise that plays when scrolling through games, which is the sound the penguins make while walking. That's delightful. In play, the controller is quick and responsive, and it feels sturdy. It feels exactly like I remember a fresh-out-of-the-box N64 controller feeling back in the day. Games thankfully have one-to-one controls with the controller, including the C button, so the unwieldy default NSO mappings are not a problem. It shouldn't cost $50 to make the games in your $30 to $50 app comfortable to play, but at least it does work. Feels like I'm setting a low bar here, huh? Beyond the inhuman three-pronged design of the grips, the most important thing about the N64 controller is the control stick. The N64 stick is very different from most modern sticks. Not only was it made from different parts than most modern control sticks, there's a big old dead zone and smaller field of motion in comparison. Most N64 emulators, particularly the ones released by Nintendo in the past, have had pretty bad stick sensitivity issues. It's led many to believe games like Ocarina of Time controlled much worse than they actually do. Sadly, there seems to be no discernible difference when using the controller in this app. It's a bummer. The inherent input lag of the emulator is also a big problem. From what people have been able to gather, this N64 controller's parts are all brand new. This new stick actually does sport that more modern build, using potentiometers instead of optical sensors. The gears that center the stick seem to still be present, which maintains the same feeling as an original controller. But I just hope that the plastic is a bit better this time, as those gears wearing down was the design flaw responsible for the original stick getting loose. This more modern control stick design isn't exactly one-to-one with an original controller, which could be problematic, but it feels like a decent approximation to me. From analyzing the raw inputs putting both it and an original N64 controller into a PC, the range seems to be about the same as the original controller. It's close enough that differences are negligible, and any perceived differences from this recording you're seeing right now are because the old N64 controller I have is quite loose. Hopefully if a third party makes a Bluetooth adapter that supports this controller on a real N64, it will still feel right, as it's like half the reason I even bought this controller. On top of the controller, you have 3 extra buttons not normally found on the 64 controller, that being ZR, Home, and Screenshot. The Z button on the back functions as ZL, and the A, B, L, and R buttons mirror their respective switch buttons. Okay, so we have 6 buttons here in addition to the Start button, plus 4 buttons in the C buttons, right? Wrong. Outside of the NSO app, the C buttons function as the right stick. This presents a pretty big problem, as you can't rebind the N64 controller. You have no X and Y buttons, meaning you can't even close apps, which is one of the silliest design oversights I've ever seen. It's so confusing. I can see from putting this controller into a PC that the C buttons are actually buttons, and the Switch even reads them as D-pad buttons, meaning that this is a deliberate decision Nintendo made with the mapping on the Switch. They should really let you be able to configure this controller, C buttons and all. The C buttons being the right stick is kinda useless, as most games with full camera control typically need every button to be played anyway. There's no excuse for this, it's insane. The amount of Switch games accessible with this controller as of now are pretty low. You can't play Skyward Sword with it, I tried. With the original controls you probably could, but they mapped some stuff to left stick click, so oh well. Using the sword with the C buttons, though, is quite funny. You can play Smash Ultimate with the Smash 64 control scheme if you map jump to the right stick. It feels pretty nostalgic. It might be dangerous playing this game on this controller until we can verify how sturdy the sticks are, though. You can almost fully play Mario Party Superstars with the 64 controller, as any minigames that require X and Y are gonna get in your way. Pretty much anything that doesn't require the X and Y buttons or the buttons under the left and right sticks could be fine. I played the silver case with it. It was actually a little more comfortable than using a Joy-Con. I mentioned before that this controller gets picked up by PC. You need to use Bluetooth, as trying to use it over USB has no inputs go through at all. So it works right out of the box, and everything that comes with that does work. On the other hand, for those as insane enough as me who are trying to use this as a PC controller, it doesn't seem to function too great on its own. I booted up Devil May Cry 5 because of course I did, and the buttons functioned quite strangely. C up was B, C down was friggin' RT, C right was LT? It's a bit weird. There aren't enough buttons to fully map the controls, but yeah, I got close enough. Unfortunately though, due to using the approximate range of an N64 control stick, I can't do most direction-based actions that require pushing all the way on the stick. I can't do a stinger, can't do high time, can't do anything. And trying to adjust the control stick in Steam Big Picture didn't work because no controller was even detected. So for playing whole PC games like N64 throwback games like A Hat in Time and Ukulele, proprietary software will need to be developed first. Luckily, the control stick range doesn't seem to be a problem on Switch games. Anyway, yeah, this is an N64 controller. It's good for playing N64 games, games that have the complexity of N64 games like Smash, and not much else. I got exactly what I paid for, technically, I guess, but for $50, I do feel a little shortchanged for how poorly this functions as a Switch controller outside of the N64 NSO app. Maybe once there are more N64 games on the service and they maybe fix some of the egregious emulation issues in Ocarina of Time, such as the inverted fog, I'll feel a bit better about this purchase. It's not worth more than $50 though, so don't give in to scalpers selling it for upwards of $100 now. Just wait for it to be in stock on Nintendo's store. What do you think about the N64 controller, or even the N64 NSO app? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and consider backing us on Patreon. It's in the description. If you support us, you can help us make videos more regularly, or even help us make videos like this one. I did pay $50 out of my own pocket, and they can get pretty expensive. I hope you have a nice day, and always remember to return to the source.